Hi, I'm Dick Eydt with Bites by Eydt. We have an exquisite catering company in Atlanta, Georgia, and we do exceptional foods for our clients. We do a lot of fun favorites in Atlanta, in New York, Connecticut, Nantucket, down to Florida. We just did a wedding in Tennessee, and so we're going to do some fun things for today. Simple hors d'oeuvres. We're going to start with one from Le Bernardin. They would serve it as a little thank you before you got there, and it's a salmon riyette. Then we're going to do some goat cheese. It's summertime, we'll do goat cheese with some fresh strawberries. Then we'll take some toast points and do goat cheese with peppers. We'll do goat cheese and honey. And then we'll candy up some southern pecans and put that on a toast point with goat cheese. So let's get started. We're going to start first with the salmon because it's going to take a little while for this to cook. And we're going to use the Calavito olive oil. Put that down. It has a skin on it. We'll take the skin off when we do it. It should come off after we cook it. A little pepper, some sea salt, and we'll bake it at 400 degrees for 15-20 minutes. It just sort of depends on how you like your salmon. I like my salmon with the riyette to be about medium rare. Okay, so put a little olive oil on the top, mix it around, and we'll stick that in the oven. Okay, so 15-20 minutes and we'll take that out. Next we're going to work with some goat cheese, and we'll mix that in, and we can add, you can add anything you'd like to it. I always like putting a little olive oil, salt and pepper. If you want a little spice to it, you can add some spice to it. I also like to add a little honey to it. A little bit of salt and pepper. Keep in mind, whenever I do salt, I always put it in my palm of my hand first so I don't accidentally overdo the amount of salt. I think we'll add a little paprika just to give it a little bit of good color and a little bit of taste to it. Just mix it up. This is a perfect thing to do in the summertime when strawberries are in season and you want something light and fresh to give to your clients, your guests. It's a great way to start off the meal. Okay, so there we go. So we have that ready to go. These are, I always use organic strawberries. It's a little bit more expensive, but they have great flavor. It's worth the extra expense. I do take off the stems to it. I cut it in half. Then if you want to, you can cut out a little bit of the middle here so you have more room for the goat cheese. Take a little spoon, spoon it out, and you can see you have a little bit of a well there for it. So I'll do a couple of more. And one of these big ones. If you don't like the spice, you don't have to add the spice. If you want the spice, you can add any of your favorite spices that you want. Like I said, I like a little bit of heat in there. I like a little bit of contrast. The goat cheese is rather plain, so I like having a little contrast there. Okay, so take this, put it in there, and you can actually see the nice coloring, the paprika there, and one more. Okay. And there you go. Again, it's like most of my cooking, It's good, clean food. It's simple to do, and it's a crowd pleaser. We'll get a plate and we'll plate that up. Before we do that, we're going to cut the toast points and get those ready for the next course. I like using a nice sized baguette. You can either get it that day. Since we're going to be toasting it, you could even let it sit out for a day or two so it gets a little bit harder. You get a little bit more of a crunch on the outside of the crust. We'll do a couple of those since we're doing 2 other items with it. You could make them up in advance. I don't. I like to have the baguettes that are warm. Everything tastes better when it's warm. So we'll put those on a tray. Put those in the oven. If you wanted to drizzle olive oil and salt and pepper on it, you can do that. I'm going to do it both ways. I like the Calavito extra virgin olive oil. It's you have to use extra virgin olive oil. It makes a big difference, good flavor. You can see the coloring of it. I'll do a helicopter for the salt. Throw the rest out. A little pepper, and we'll plop that in the oven until they're brown. The ones without the olive oil will probably take 7 minutes. The ones with it may take 10 minutes. Okay. So one of the things we're going to be putting on there is a roasted red pepper. And so we'll take that. I'll take out this part to it. I'll put a little olive oil on there and then stick that in the oven and roast these up. Let's cut off that. Okay, so let's roast up the red peppers. Again, we'll put a little Calavito extra virgin olive oil down. Get both sides of it. I can smell that salmon cooking nicely, as well as the toast points. And a little salt. And we'll put those in there. While we're down here, we might as well check on the toast points to see how they're doing. Give a little look-see. Yep, those look nice. We'll check on the salmon. I'd say another 5 to 6 minutes on that. These have a nice little crunch to them. They're thick enough, they're not too thick, that you'll get a nice bite to it, and then it can also hold the goat cheese, it can hold the candy pecans, it can hold any of the ingredients that we need. So since we have the strawberries, let's plate those up and get those out of the way. There we go. We have some nice strawberries there. Okay, candy pecans. You know what? Now that I've been down in Atlanta for about 16 years, pecans are huge, and nothing like a little added sugar to a nice pecan. So we're going to melt these, get it to almost a caramelization. Then we'll add in. Now when we do the sugar, when we make the caramel for it, we don't want too high of a temperature. You want to make sure you have a nice thick pot, not one of those thin aluminum pots. It will burn, it will smell, and we also have to stir it constantly. Oh, that looks nice. Nice smell, nice color. Good little cut, yeah. So there are 2 ways you can serve the salmon rillettes. The one I prefer is when the salmon is warm. We'll add the smoked salmon to it, the dill, the peppers, the capers, the a little lemon juice, and then I like to serve those warm. It just gives it a better flavor to it. So we'll just let this sit for a few minutes, and we'll come back and we'll finish off the salmon rillettes. The peppers will take another 5 minutes. And let's check on the caramel sauce. That heat is good. If you want to take a look at the heat, you can see it's not too hot, not too high. I'd say it's about medium low. So I can smell the caramel. So I took it off, and we'll now add the pecans to it. I'd taken my eye off it for a little bit, and it didn't burn, but you can see we got some nice coloring to it. We'll add the pecans to it. So that's pretty much mixed in there quite well. I'll take some of them out, put it back into the dish. You can see we're at the candy stage of the sugar, where you get that striations. Okay, put this off to the side as another dish. We have the smoked salmon out. So typically with the salmon, it's 2/3 fresh salmon that's been roasted and 1/3 smoked salmon. So we'll cut the smoked salmon. I'll probably use about half of this. I'm not going to cut them into fine pieces, but I like to have little chunks to it so people can really taste it and they know that it's a smoked salmon, and as well as the roasted salmon. It just adds a nice flavor to the rillette. So let's put this in the bowl. So as you can see, we left most of the skin stayed on the cookie sheet there. And we'll cut this. And once we mix it, it's going to flake some more. And again, it's warm, and having a warm salmon, it's quite nice. Okay. We'll cut up some of the herbs, the dill, the scallions. Remember, always clean as you go. It makes it easier since you have a small space to work with. You don't want to be messy. And we'll start with the scallions. Take off the ends. And I'll use the scallions till about where the white part ends. If you want to go a little further, you can go a little further, but I like the whites. And just a fine slice to it. Nothing too fine. Again, you want to be able to have a little bit of a crunch to it when you're tasting the rillettes. Put that in. And then we'll do the dill. So with the dill, again, I take it off the stems as much as possible. Now in the summertime, fresh dill is abundant, and I get this at the farmer's market. I don't like getting the small little pouches at the grocery store. It's just not economical, and it's not as fresh. In Atlanta, Georgia, we have DeKalb farmer's market. It's about the size of a Costco, and it's all refrigerated, and it is phenomenal fruits and vegetables, great fish, meats, prepared foods, and they do such a high turnover that all the food is very fresh. And because it's refrigerated all the time, all my fruits and vegetables last, if I had to, they could last a week or so in my fridge. Not that they do, but they could. Okay, a nice fine chop on that, and we'll add it. And I can smell the dill there. Whoops, take that guy out. Okay, We'll add some mayonnaise. Let's see how much we need there. A little Worcestershire sauce. Give it some flavor. Again, if you wanted to, you could add a little paprika. Give it some good color, some good flavor, which I like. I like to have a little contrast there. We'll mix this up. We'll see if we need to add any more mayonnaise to it. A little bit of salt. Okay. So that is about the consistency you want. It's not too big, it's not too small. I don't want to play with it too much, and that's ready for plating. So here we go. We'll come back with our toast points. We'll do one of each, with and without the olive oil. Plain goat cheese on one of each. For the roasted red peppers. And then for the candied pecans. So with the roasted peppers, you can either roast them, which I find is fine, or you can have them grilled. You can see we have some nice color on this on both sides. You can take the skin off, you can leave the skin on. I like texture, so I like leaving it on, but it's up to you. Cut these into little strips, and we'll cut these in half. And then we will put them on the goat cheese. Clean as we go, guys, always clean as we go. Okay, last part are gonna be the candied pecans. We'll take these out. Hear that nice crunch to it? Okay, put that right on top there. I think that piece is a little bit too big, so I'll cut that in half. Okay. The last part is, which I think goes nicely, is this is a raspberry balsamic glaze. I'll put a dollop on the red peppers. And there we go. Nice summer little hors d'oeuvres. We have the fresh tomato, the goat cheese, the honey, a little spice to it, olive oil. We have the salmon riyette from Le Bernardin. It's one of their classics. Roasted red peppers with the raspberry glaze. We have a goat cheese and the candied pecans. Enjoy. And I want to thank our friends from Little Leaf Lettuce. It's grown out of Boston, outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and it's cut, it's shipped within the same day. This lettuce will last in your refrigerator for at least 10 days to 2 weeks. It's a lot better than the lettuce that comes from California that gets shipped, and it's a wonderful product. Enjoy.